Greetings to all my tech heads out there in the KevTechify nation, and if you're new here, welcome. In this episode, we're going to look at intrusion prevention system implementations. We'll be discussing the types of intrusion prevention systems, network-based intrusion prevention systems, and the modes of deployment. This episode is part of my series on network security. I'm Kevin here at KevTechify. Let's get this adventure started. There are two types of primary intrusion prevention systems. One is the host-based intrusion prevention system, and the other one is the network-based intrusion prevention system. So one's host-based, one is network-based. Host-based intrusion prevention systems can be thought of as a combination of antivirus, anti-malware software, and a firewall. One example here would be Windows Defender. It provides a range of protection measures for Windows hosts. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking, Microsoft Windows Defender. It's a horrible product, but it does a fairly decent job. If I got some industry experts in here, I could line up 6 that says Windows Defender does a great job. I could give you 6 up here that says Windows Defender does a horrible job. And that's an argument for another day, but it does a good range of protection measures. Some of the advantages of Windows Defender, whether you like it or not, is it comes with every licensed copy of Windows software out there. Meaning, if you have a client, if you have a server, and it's legally licensed, you can go and have Windows Defender on there. It gets automatic updates because of that licensing. It's included, and it's installed and activated by default. So it's a great starting point. If you want to go more beyond that, you want to use a different product, that's your choice, but it does a good base. And realistically, what it boils down to is it's better than nothing. And so where this hips are located on your network, the host-based intrusion prevention system, we're looking at your clients on your corporate network, and then we're also looking at maybe the corporate servers on your network. That's where you're going to have some sort of host-based intrusion prevention system. Now, the network-based intrusion prevention system, it can be implemented either using dedicated IPS hardware, or it can be implemented using non-dedicated intrusion prevention systems, such as maybe a router. The network-based intrusion prevention system limitations are a critical component here of these intrusion prevention systems. Host-based IDS, IPS solutions must be integrated with network-based to ensure how they work together. And so on our diagram here, we did identify our host-based here. So we do have a couple host-based. Up here would be part of our network base. So these would all be part of our network based solution. On your network, you should have both of these on there, network based and host based intrusion prevention systems, to secure your network as best as you can. Network based intrusion prevention sensors, they can be implemented in several ways. First way here is you can put it on a Cisco Firepower appliance. That's one of their mainstream, one of their big corporate level firewalls. We could also look at using an ASA, an adaptive security appliance firewall there. We could put it on an integrated services router, or we can look at using the NGIPS for VMware, creating a virtual machine for our IPS sensor. As you look at these network-based sensors, they have to have certain types of software. First, you need to have your NIC, your network interface controller. The network-based IPS must be able to connect to any network, such as your Ethernet, fast Ethernet, gig Ethernet, or even 10 gig in today's backbones of data centers. You have to have your processor. Now, the intrusion prevention requires CPU power to perform the intrusion detection analysis and pattern matching. And then finally, we got to have some memory. The intrusion detection analysis is very memory intensive. Memory directly affects that ability of a network-based IPS to efficiently and accurately detect an attack. There are two types of modes of deployment for your sensors. IDS and IPS sensors, they can operate in what we call in inline mode here. So the first example right here, this is inline mode. And as data travels between two devices on your network, it travels through your IPS sensor. So it has to go through here. And so this is where you need CPU. This is where you need your RAM. It has to have our network connections in there. All data travels through here. It is in line with your data. The second one here is a lot of times what we refer to as promiscuous mode. And how this works is as data travels between devices on your network, it has to go through this switch here. And on this switch, what it does is we set up another port here, and we're going to send copies of that traffic. So as traffic goes from device to device on your network back and forth here, it's also going to copy it down here. And then as we copy it down, this is where you have your IDS enabled sensor here. And then based upon what your IDS sensor sees, what it detects, the management server can be set up to respond accordingly. As we look here, typically your inline mode, that's what we have here at the top, is an IPS sensor. Normally, when you're in promiscuous mode, we're looking at an IDS sensor. It was my pleasure to provide you with this wonderful episode on Intrusion Prevention System implementations. If you like this episode and you get value out of it, and of course, depending upon what platform you're using, please click that like button, give a 5-star rating, leave a comment. This all helps me bring you more great content. Please take a minute to subscribe to my channel. All of my socials and contact information are on my website, KevTechify.com, and you can get all of these episodes in video and podcast form. In the upper right is my playlist for my series on network security. In the bottom right is one of my favorite videos that I picked just for you. Thank you so much for watching this episode of my series on network security. Once again, I'm Kevin. This is KevTechify. I'll see you next time for another great adventure.